Hi, my name is Annalene, and this summer I got married, and so I went on honeymoon with my lovely husband. It still feels weird to say that. This is the final part of a 3-part vlog series all about our Canadian honeymoon. In the first 2 parts, we went to Montreal, Quebec City, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. In part 3, we're coming back to Cape Breton and finish off in Newfoundland. You will find links in the description to the different parts. Enjoy! After our stay in PEI, we came back to Nova Scotia, but this time we visited the northern part, which is Cape Breton. We took the ferry again. Robert was having the time of his life. I was kind of okay. I wasn't ill this time, so that was nice. But it still isn't my favorite way to travel. It's nice. It's pretty, but you know. After that, it took quite a while to drive to our next destination, so we took a little stop. I don't really remember where this was, but it had a ton of mosquitoes and I didn't enjoy it. And then we arrived in Badek. This is the view from our hotel, and this is the restaurant where we had dinner. It was really good. You could see the kitchen, and we had breakfast there as well. And this is our hotel. That's the room that we stayed in. And then we drove the Cabot Trail up to the Cape Breton Highland National Park, and the fog on the way was crazy. We just couldn't see anything. Fortunately, when we arrived, the weather had kind of cleared out, but still.
The weather is good,
Hey.
the sphere is even better. This hike is well known for its amazing views. Unfortunately, it's very foggy and cloudy today, so you have to imagine it.
So yeah, the weather wasn't the best. I feel like I've said this way too many times in my vlogs for the honeymoon. You know, it's just, it's a shame because it's really, really pretty, but all we could see was fog. I mean, this is okay. We can see pretty far out. We kept watching for whales, but unfortunately didn't see any. But, you know, you can always try, you can always hope. Just imagine this with a blue sky and some fluffy clouds, and the sun is out. Beautiful. I mean, we still had a great time, but it was raining the entire time, so we're completely wet. Good thing is we figured out it wasn't cold, so we just decided to wear shorts so that, you know, at least we wouldn't be walking around with wet jeans all day. But you know, the rain is the rain. It still was really nice. The Middlehead Trail is about an hour and a half, I think it takes you to go to and from, and it's really good. I recommend it. Then we did the Eclpise Trail. That was a little shorter, I think maybe an hour or something. I really like the nature of that one. Nice and green in the woods. We kept looking for like moose or maybe deers, and we saw some footprints that I think might be from a little deer or something. It doesn't look very obvious here, but they really were hoof prints, so I just imagine that it was a little deer, and you cannot take that away from me. The next day we went to Cape Breton Highland National Park again, but we decided to take the other side, the western side. The weather had cleared out a little bit. As you can see, it's still cloudy, but it wasn't raining and it was actually quite nice. So we took a little stop. Of course, we had to take in all of the different views. You'll see lots of beautiful views in this video, and this is just one of them. This is the view you get when you are at Veterans Monument. It is very famous and it's just really pretty. Robert loved this. He's loving all of this, as am I, of course. The first hike that we did that day was a skyline trail. It starts off with open fields with loads and loads of grasshoppers. And then as you go on, the woods become thicker and higher. We enjoyed part of the view already, but then at the end, when you come out on this clearing again, then you'll have the most beautiful view. And this is the view that you see when you Google Cape Breton Highland National Park. This is it. Not this one, but earlier when you could see the road. It used to be so that you could hike all the way to the end of that hill, but right now they are trying to restore that area, trying to restore the nature there, so that's not allowed anymore, but still you get a beautiful view. After that, we wanted to do a little smaller hike, so we did the Macintosh Brook. It was really pretty. It's just this brook that you follow in the woods, and I love everything about water, rivers, little lakes, ponds, things like that. I love it. So this was great for me. We actually were kind of on a deadline, you know, we needed to get out of the national park in time. So after like maybe 20 minutes of walking, we were like, we should go back because otherwise we shouldn't, you know, we won't be able to leave in time. And luckily we decided to just walk along a little bit further because there was a waterfall. Otherwise we would have just turned around and not seen it. And it was really great that we did see it. It doesn't look that impressive on camera, but it was impressive in real life. And as we were leaving the national park, you know, the sun was starting to set. We took a little stop, and then at the end of the day, we had dinner at this fancy restaurant called the Telegraph Room, and the mushroom risotto that we had was the best. Then we had to go to Newfoundland. Again, this is a day of traveling. We didn't do anything else. We just drove to the boat. We took a 7-hour boat trip, and then we arrived in Newfoundland. And then we had to drive for 3 hours to our hotel. The boat, again, wasn't my favorite, but Robert loved it a lot. And we just kind of stayed inside most of the trip. Sometimes we popped outside just to look at the views and stuff. But I was just really impressed by how big it was. I remember entering. This is the moment where we enter, and I just thought, like, this is Titanic. I had never been in a boat as big as this, and I kept thinking, like, God, the people who were on the Titanic and similar cruise ships, like how amazed are they? Because I just couldn't handle it, you know. We just read some books, listened to podcasts, occasionally went outside to look at the water, and, you know, especially when the land was coming near, we really wanted to spot it, and here I'm like, that's Newfoundland. After we reached land, we had to drive for 3 hours to our hotel. It was a really nice bed and breakfast that we stayed in. Unfortunately, I didn't really film anything from there other than the little geese by my window. It was called Upper Humber Settlement. It is beautiful. The hostess, Laura Lee, she is amazing. She told us beautiful stories and had great recommendations. Loved it. But we went to Gros Morne National Park, and the first hike that we did was Green Gardens. Again, kind of similar to Skyline, the way that the landscape changed throughout the hike was really pretty. At first it was just this open landscape, open field, and then we were kind of walking on these hills and rocks, and we found rivers, small rivers, a waterfall. The trees were growing higher as you went along, and at the end you've reached the end of the land and you could just see the sea and the cliffs and a beach, and it was really cool. It was quite a long hike. It was maybe a little bit too long for me because at the end my legs really started to hurt and we had to do all of it in turbo speed at the end, but the views are really pretty. As you can see, the weather isn't great again, but you know, it is fine. Being up there was really something else. It was an amazing experience to just stand there and feel like you were at the end of the world. We also went down to the beach. We didn't go into the water. It felt a little too cold for that, but it still was pretty impressive. This was the stairs that we had to take. Here again, I'm trying to look for whales, but unfortunately, there weren't any. After a little break, we went to go to the Southeast Brook Falls. It was a very short walk, but that was exactly what we needed. High reward as well, because the fall at the end is truly incredible. It is huge. I truly have never seen anything like it before or since. On day 16, we went back to Gros Morne. Actually, the only thing that we do in Newfoundland is Gros Morne, the national park, and talk with basically everyone that we meet. See those plateaus in the distance? That is where we are going, the tablelands. This was a little bit of a strange hike. I wouldn't say that the view, I mean, not the view, but like just kind of the area, the nature wasn't really my favorite. It was a bit too bare for me, but because it is so different from anything else that we had seen so far, this was truly spectacular, especially because there again was some water. And as we know, I love some water. So at the end, you are allowed to go further and even like climb the sides of the mountains, but we weren't really equipped for that, not in terms of actual equipment, but also just in terms of skill. So we kind of stayed there at the end of the trail. We had some lunch and then we went back. Luckily, as you can see, the weather was actually kind of nice today. We went to the Lookout Trail, which is this trail that leads you up to the hill or mountain, and then you have this beautiful view. This is only halfway up the hike, so it gets better. You get even higher. And from this point, you could actually see the river that we were walking by in the morning, as you can see, like that was where we were earlier. And I loved seeing it from this side. When we were finally at the top, we had some lunch and we started talking to this lovely couple that we met there. I don't know their names. We didn't ask for names, but they were from Bridgewater or close to Bridgewater, and they met on a tree planting trip, and now they were doing this big travel and they were camping, even though the husband was like, I hate camping, but they still did it. I guess that's what you do for love. That is where we were. That was the top where we had lunch, by the way. These two people, we saw them like 4 times maybe that day, because we kept running into them and they made my day. I don't know who they are. If you are watching this, please say hi. I loved meeting you. Then we went to the Trout River Pond. At first we were like, oh, we can do another little hike. The day is still young. But then we saw that this pond or lake was completely deserted. And so we sat there by the water. Robert actually swam in the water, but for me it was a little too cold. Also, I didn't bring my bathing suit, so I just read. It was peaceful, quiet, perfect. And this was a shimmery rock that I found. Day 17. This is the last day. And we started off with 2 little hikes. This is the Berryhead Hill. It was kind of nice. It wasn't the best. There were loads of stairs, so it was kind of difficult at times. But again, some great views. We were also on Moose Watch this entire time. You know, the entire trip we were on Moose Watch, but this is me watching for moose. Didn't see any though. Then we did the Berryhead Pond. There wasn't really anything special about this. This was just a little pond with some ducks. But nice. And the reason that we did those 2 little short hikes is because we were going to the Western Brook Pond. First, we had to walk about an hour until we were actually at the Western Brook Pond. There wasn't any parking, but there we could take a boat. Now, as you know, boats, not my strong suit, but this boat was actually kind of cool. It was really nice. The Western Brook Pond is a fjord, which means that it was carved out by a glacier. It has fresh water, and that's kind of the only information that I still remember from the tour. We saw loads of waterfalls. Some of the waterfalls, this is what I remember, some of the waterfalls actually shouldn't have been active, but because the weather had been so terrible, there was enough water to actually, you know, create a waterfall. So that was nice. We were sitting next to an American economics and law professor. He went to a conference with his colleagues, and this was kind of like their let's end the holiday on a nice note thing. And he was really nice, and he asked me to take one picture of him with the waterfall, and I couldn't get him or the waterfall in focus, so I'm so sorry about your terrible picture, but we were going too fast, and I really appreciated you being such a cool guy about it. So if you're watching this, thank you, and I'm sorry. I also really liked a tour guide. He was a bit older. It felt like he had been doing this for like 25 years already, and at the end he turned on some of the Newfoundland music and I actually loved it. But I can't find the song for the life of me. The tour guide was singing along. That made it even better. And to end the day and also our trip, we went to Lobster Head Cove Lighthouse. The next day we took a 6-hour drive up to St. John's, had dinner there, and took the plane the next day back to Belgium. I want to thank my lovely husband Robrecht for organizing this trip, for always being up for a dance, for joking around, for being so kind to me when I needed it on this trip, for always having my back, for always being so amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. I had a blast making this. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!